Good afternoon. I am Joanne Graves, Mayor of Gallatin, Tennessee, and Rob and I might bring something just a little different to this podium. I lived outside Denver for about 3 years. I'm a Texan by birthright, and I've been here in Middle Tennessee for now about 28 years. And I have to say, Austin is a great city, but Mayor Dean, I love Nashville. And I love Gallatin, Tennessee. Bridget asked me to talk a little bit about our visioning plan, and I'm going to do that, but I want to echo something has been said here several times. Bridget Jones has been a real asset to the communities that are in Middle Tennessee, and she's done a wonderful job of helping all of us articulate and put down on paper what we want our communities to look like. A visioning plan is not difficult. It just takes a lot of effort, and it takes some patience. Because when you're elected to office, you're supposed to have a vision and you're supposed to lead. But in order to lead, you have to make sure somebody wants to follow you. And so when you go out and you do a visioning plan, you kind of open yourself up. And you go to your citizens and you say, what do you want? I know how I see it, and I know where I think we should go, but what do you really want? And I thought it was interesting, Robin, when you said people who live out in the rural area love the rural spirit, and that's true. So you need to ask your citizens, what do you really want? And you need to have that dialogue, and you have to be honest. Because sometimes you may be headed in one direction and they may see things a little differently than you do, and you have to readjust. I think going through a visioning plan is one of the healthiest exercises anybody in leadership can undertake, because it allows you to have a reality check about, am I really headed in the direction my folks want to go? Now, Gallatin undertook their visioning plan in about 2008, and it was a great experience, and a couple of my planning staff are here, and I'm glad they're here because they were a real asset. And as we began to dialogue about what we wanted, one of the things that was the most interesting to me was our citizens wanted our downtown to be revitalized. It was in a state of disrepair, and it needed a facelift. And so when we developed that plan, our comprehensive plan, we not only talked about how we wanted the overall city to develop, where was high density going to be, low density, where was transit going to be, but we talked about what we wanted those neighborhoods to look like. And one of our areas that was very important to our citizens was our downtown. And we began to have a dialogue and articulate exactly, down to what kind of lighting do you want to see downtown? And I was amazed at the detail that I got back from our citizens. And so when we took the step to hire a firm, we shared all of that with them. And they had some additional meetings with our citizens. And we developed a plan, and we did revitalize our downtown. And because we had a plan, a written document, we were able to get a lot of grant funding to help us be able to revitalize that downtown, because people knew we'd put a fair amount of thought into what we were doing. I'm happy to say today that we are thriving downtown. We have festivals that start from May into October, and we'll have 700, 800, 900 people down on our square. And for a community of about 30,000, we're thrilled about that. And our stores and retail establishments are doing well because we developed a plan and we had a dialogue with our citizens. Now, one of the other things that we talked about when we developed that plan was the need for transit. And Robin, I also like the fact that you talked about seniors, because I remember when my mother had to give her driver's license up, and she lived in a place where they didn't have any public transportation, and it became very difficult for her, and I lived a long way away. And when I went home to see my mother, there was a list of all the things we needed to do and the places we needed to go because she couldn't get anywhere. So we in Gallatin are working very diligently on transit. Right now, we have a couple of stops. We have recently just developed a rapid transit independent park and ride lot that is behind Volunteer State Community College and adjacent to an area where we have a developer who is doing high density. And in order to do rapid transit, you really need high density because you need people to be able to walk and leave their vehicles. Now I'm going to say again, because we had a plan, when RTA came forward to us and wanted to do this park and ride lot and take us to the next level on rapid transit, we were able to go to a local developer and say, here's what we want to do. We know what you want to do in this area. You want it to develop into a retail area, and we think they fit hand in glove. And you know what? He agreed. And he donated all the land for that park and ride lot. So we are now moving forward, and we're going to get that rapid transit moving to the next step. But you know, it's important. If you have a plan and somebody comes into your community and they want to develop, they can go to your planning office and they can see very quickly, does my idea fit with the area of town that I want to develop? And if it doesn't, you're either going to need to change your plan or you're going to need to look at another area of your community. Plans are not static, and I want to say this. You can't just do a plan and say, great, I've done a plan, and now I don't need to worry about that anymore, because not one of your communities are static. They're dynamic, and they are constantly changing. And as new people move in, they want something different. They want another thing and another thing and another thing. So we now have had our plans adopted since 2009. It's 2013. My city is going to need to start undertaking a revisit of our comprehensive plan to make sure that what we have on paper now reflects the direction that our community is going. I can't speak enough about going through that process. I'm going to close on this. Again, it's important that you know what your citizens really want out of a community. We recently had a road project, and we actually got through PE and took that plan out to the public, put it up on the walls in City Hall. That room was full, and they didn't like what we had drawn. And we've had to go back to the drawing board to tweak some things that we should have asked people on the front end. So plans are important, citizen input is important, and revisiting your plan regularly is very important. Hope you'll come up and see me in Gallatin. Thank you.